Spider-Man: A Brand New Day just to drop their first official trailer there, but the first full-length trailer came out a couple of days ago, and of course it's been the talk of the MCU at the moment. Brand New Day is going to be the start of a second trilogy for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and it's crazy to think about it. And Tom Holland is now the longest tenured Spider-Man we've gotten. Toby, if I'm doing my math right, the first Spider-Man came out in 2002, and Toby was Spider-Man from 2002 to 2007. And then you had Andrew Garfield, who was Spider-Man for 2012 and 2014. And then now you have Tom Holland, who's been donning the mask ever since 20. I think Civil War was in 2016. That's when we first see him. Homecoming trilogy, which was reintegrating Spider-Man into the MCU, of course, with Civil War and through Homecoming and all the way up to No Way Home. And now Brand New Day is supposed to be kind of entering that next chapter. We understand that Spider-Man is the forefront. He is the main character of the MCU. I couldn't think of a better time to release another Spider-Man movie just before Avengers or before Doomsday, because Peter's going to play a very vital role. Spider-Man's going to be playing a very vital role in these next two films. And I think he's not being talked about enough. After Secret Wars comes the reset, and we all know that Tom Holland isn't going to be getting replaced as Spider-Man, or at least for a while, or ever, and guessing that point. So pretty much the whole point of this is I just want to talk about my thoughts on the trailer and talk about my thoughts of where Spider-Man is at this current moment in time in the MCU, and kind of just what my expectations are for the movie that comes out July 31st. In short, I will be seated just like I have always been with the previous Spider-Man. If you guys want to continue to hear me talk about superheroes, talk about movies and sports and other pop culture, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and let me know your guys' opinions down below. I'm really trying to grow this channel, so I really appreciate all the support you guys can give me. My first thing is I'm so excited that Destin Daniel Cretton is going to be directing this movie. He was initially supposed to be directing Doomsday, or when it was the Kang Dynasty, that's what it was. And then obviously they go in a different direction and they get the Russo brothers, but I think this is a tremendous substitute. Many would recall that he directed the Shang-Chi movie. I'm still waiting for Shang-Chi 2, by the way. Give it to me, please. Shang-Chi got so much praise for the choreography. I just thought it was a great story. I really did enjoy Shang-Chi, especially in that era post-Endgame. Projects like Shang-Chi and Moon Knight. Shang-Chi was definitely a diamond amidst all those projects at that moment in time. And Destin Daniel Cretton plays a tremendous role in that. Even off the jump, looking at the trailer, you can tell it looks different, and you can tell it's taking a bit of a more adult tone, a darker tone. While the initial trilogy was a little bit more lighthearted, eventually got more and more mature over time. Like Homecoming was more about following young Peter Parker and him trying to find his way as Spider-Man and figure out what kind of superhero he wants to be. Far From Home, getting over the loss of Tony Stark and kind of figuring out where he goes from here. No Way Home, the multiverse was starting to crack down around him and his world was crumbling and not feeding in to the worst inside himself when it came to dealing with entities like the Green Goblin or losing Aunt May and having to make the ultimate sacrifice as a hero and have everybody he's ever known forget everything about him. And now we're going to see that take another step forward in Brand New Day. Peter Parker takes more of a backseat to Spider-Man, at least when we first meet Peter after all these years. You can tell he's older, you can tell he's more mature, and obviously he has the apartment and the idea of him keeping tabs on his friends and keeping tabs on MJ. But in the midst, he's still trying to defend New York City and being that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And you see in the trailer, you see guys like Boomerang, you see Scorpion, who I'm so happy for Michael Mando to be finally able to don the role of Scorpion. And of course we saw him in the end credit scene of Homecoming, and this 10 years, 10 years, and we finally get to see him. Michael Mando is a phenomenal actor, whether you've known him from Breaking Bad, whether you've known him from playing Voss in Far Cry 3, just to name a couple of projects he's done. But Michael Mando is awesome, and I cannot wait to see him in this movie. But I do like the integration of more characters, being able to see that Bruce Banner, the Hulk, is going to be in this film, and it said he's going to be playing a role. I'm hoping, and it seems like that's the consensus, he's going to find his way back to being that savage Hulk that everybody knows and loves. Of course, Sadie Sink, it's been long rumored she's going to be playing Jean Grey in this movie. A popular opinion that she's going to be playing Jean Grey. Of course, Phoenix, a part of the X-Men, the first movie after Secret Wars, if I'm not mistaken, the first movie that would be on the docket would be the rebooted X-Men movie. So of course you want to kind of start planting the seeds for that film. The fact that Tombstone's going to be in this is going to be awesome. It seems like we're going to be seeing a lot of interactions with a lot of different villains in this movie, and not to mention he's going to be teaming up at times with the Punisher, Frank Castle. I'm so happy that John Bernthal's able to reprise the character of the Punisher. If you guys watch Daredevil Born Again season 1, or even if you watch the Punisher series, I did a great disservice to myself not watching the Netflix series until last year, and I really did thoroughly enjoy all of them. I don't care what, I know there was like mixed opinions about some of the series and the writing and stuff like that. It didn't matter to me. I'd still find myself thoroughly entertained, so I loved it, especially the Punisher. After watching the Punisher, and I think I have John Bernthal to thank for this, the Punisher is probably one of my favorite superheroes now, or probably he's getting up there, because I think it goes like Spider-Man up there with Black Panther, the Punisher. And I think it's about John Bernthal's performance, whether it was in Daredevil, whether it's in the Punisher series, or seeing him eventually again in the Punisher special presentation. I think the Punisher as a character is just so fucking cool. Seeing his interactions with Daredevil when it comes to ideologies of being, you know, a crime fighter, a superhero. Of course, the Punisher's more like an anti-hero. You know, he puts the bad guys down, while Daredevil always tries to see that they have the ability to be rehabilitated for a second chance, to try again. Obviously, people can associate Spider-Man with more of Daredevil's level of thinking, but I'm kind of curious where the Punisher presentation falls. I'm assuming it will take place before Brand New Day, seeing that it's coming out before the movie anyway. But John Bernthal being able to showcase Frank Castle on the big screen is awesome, especially where a lot of these characters were just not in the non so distant past. The whole premise of Brand New Day is to act like a rebirth for Spider-Man. Of course, watching the trailer, you see that eventually Peter is going to get an evolution of his powers. Whether it was the scene where he was fighting members of the Hand, when he was speaking with Bruce Banner and they were actually going over his DNA and his physical makeup, and you see that he was getting a lot of characteristics of, you know, enhanced abilities. If this is the movie that Spider-Man becomes even more overpowered, I think I think this is just great. The fact that he's going to get the natural web shooters is I think is a great touch. It's going to be a cool callback to when he was partnered up with the other Spider-Man. I like the story that we kind of see Peter as a young adult. He's on his own 2 feet, seemingly being brought back down to earth, both figuratively and literally, because now he's no longer with the whole array of Stark tech that he had at his disposal. He doesn't have any of the crazy, you know, enhanced abilities with the suit, relying on his instincts. A different version of him than when he was younger. He's starting to mature, and we're going to see it. And also, did you see in the trailer, Tom Holland got fucking ripped for this role? You can see him grow physically from when we last see him in No Way Home to this film, albeit it's going to be years at this point. Being able to see this movie and have it seem like it's taken more and more of a mature approach every single time they release a new movie, I think it's great. I think it allows, it's like you're growing with this character, you're growing with the story as well. Everybody's older in this film, including us as the audience. And I do love the integration of the Punisher and integration with all these other characters. It leads to us being a step closer to Daredevil and Spider-Man finally coming together, whether it's to battle Kingpin, you know, a different enemy. These guys have already interacted in No Way Home with Matt Murdock. Opening scenes of that film. I'm hoping Daredevil season 2, Born Again season 2, kind of plays into Brand New Day, because a lot of people, that's always the question of like, oh, why isn't Spider-Man coming to help Daredevil? Why isn't these guys, like, all this stuff's happening in New York, so what is going on? You would think Peter wouldn't be standing back while the Kingpin is trying to take over New York as the mayor. But yeah, I'm very excited for this movie. There's still plenty of questions that still need answering. My expectations for this film, I've always been entertained with the Spider-Man movies. It's always a joy to go see those movies in theaters. I would say that it does have big expectations, especially being the movie that's essentially setting up Doomsday, so I'm kind of curious to see how Doomsday is going to be set up, where Peter is at the moment in time the events of Doomsday start to kick off. What is it setting up for Peter more in the long-term aspect, as well as maybe other things? Do we see him collaborate with like the X-Men? Do we see him eventually collaborate with the Fantastic Four? That's the whole thing about these trilogies, is going to be setting up what's next for Peter Parker. It's, you know, it's a new chapter, so where is it going to take him at the end of this film? Because eventually we know he's going to get the black suit. We know he's going to have to interact with Doctor Doom, and depending on how Marvel's going about introducing and reintroducing us to Robert Downey Jr., is it going to be Victor Von Doom? Is he going to be a Tony Stark variant? I think that's the biggest moment that a lot of people are waiting for in the lead up to whether it's Doomsday or Secret Wars. How is Peter going to react to seeing somebody that looks like Tony Stark? There's so many different things that Marvel can do, so many different directions they can take it. So I'm very excited to be seated and be on this ride to see what's next for Spider-Man. I do like how they were paying homage to a lot of the old Spider-Man comics. Even the thumbnail for the trailer is the cover of the Brand New Day Amazing Spider-Man comic, which I thought was pretty cool. It's so much fun when Spider-Man's back at the forefront of pop culture, especially with this trailer now and seeing a lot of things to be excited for and things that they're still hiding from us. So who knows? Like, things could look so much different by the time the movie comes out. But yep, we got about under 3 months to kind of try to piece it all together before we're actually seated and watching the story unfold. If you guys did enjoy the video, appreciate any and all support you guys can give the channel, and subscribe and share it around with your friends. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions on the trailer. Let me know you guys' thoughts and opinion on Daredevil Born Again and season 2 coming out next week. Are you guys excited for a Brand New Day? Are you guys excited to see Tom Holland return as Spider-Man? Like, let me know all your guys' thoughts and opinions down below. With all that being said, guys, that's good to do it for me, and I'll see you guys on the next one.